Hello everyone. Well, today I'm starting a new series of videos in which I'm going to be reading articles that I write in the morning that lay down the basic ideological opposition I have to Islam and to a certain extent what I think ought to be done about it. This is the first one and it's called Defusing Islam, the Moderate Muslim Fallacy and How to Argue Against It. Here goes. The idea of moderate Islam is quite simply a smokescreen because no such thing exists. All you need to know is contained in the Quran and the Hadiths and the example of Muhammad. There is no arguing with the fact that the Quran divides the world into believers and different types of unbeliever, into Dar al-Islam and Dar al-Harb, the world of submission and the world of war. To paraphrase a number of Quranic verses, the doctrine generally recommends fighting unbelievers wherever you find them in order to convert them, to get them to pay the jizya humiliation tax, or to kill them. The position on kuffar like you and me is pretty clear. Similarly, if you accept that Muhammad is the perfect man and the example to follow, you have to believe that it's okay to kill your enemies, or to marry a 6-year-old girl and have sex with her when she was 9 and still playing with dolls and therefore hadn't reached the age of puberty. This means you have to accept paedophilia. I don't think that's compatible with the kind of society I want to live in. Without going into doctrine on apostasy, the status of women, the imposition of Sharia, and a whole series of unpleasant beliefs and practices, these examples demonstrate that there is no moderate Islam, in the same way that there's no moderate National Socialism. In order to be a Muslim, you have to believe this. So logically, if there is no moderate Islam, there are no moderate Muslims, in much the same way as there are no moderate Nazis. Obviously, in Nazi Germany, many people paid lip service to National Socialism without really believing the doctrines, either to avoid persecution or because they weren't fully aware of what they entailed. I believe that this is the case with many nominal Muslims. There are non-practicing or nominal Muslims, for example, who know what the belief system involves but don't have the courage to become non-Muslims or ex-Muslims because their apostasy will mean expulsion from their community and quite possibly estrangement from their family, and in some cases the consequences might result in physical violence or even death. I'm sure there are nominal Muslims who live and work in other cities away from their families and the people they grew up with, and to all intents and purposes live completely secular lives. However, when they go back for holidays and family reunions, they also go back to the cultural and religious practices they had left behind because, in order not to upset anyone, they are afraid to come out as non-Muslims. In many respects, the situation is analogous to the difficulty gay people until recently had in coming out and then admitting to friends and family they had done so. If this change has been possible regarding gay people in the space of a few decades, then surely it is possible with regard to people becoming non-Muslim. One of the comments that writer and activist Shazia Hobbs made in my conversation with her a couple of months ago was that even after she had escaped her forced marriage and was living the life of a non-believer, occasionally eating bacon sandwiches and feeling guilty about it, she never realized she could actually become an ex-Muslim until the advent of social media. I'm sure even now there are plenty of people like Shazia and they need our support. This vanguard of people who come out and openly reject Islam are the thin end of the wedge that we need to drive between the true believers who tend towards Islamic fundamentalism and the so-called moderate Muslims who, as I said before, are really just nominal, non-practicing Muslims. These people need our support and help, and we also need to be more upfront about challenging archaic belief systems that are no longer consistent with the lifestyle that a nominal Muslim is obviously leading. One of the responses to one of my recent posts on Twitter from my friend Phil Chalk was along the lines of, there are decent people who call themselves Muslims, but unfortunately they have bought into a disgusting set of beliefs. Well, I think those people need to be directly challenged. I'm not known for hiding my light under a bushel, but I really regret not having had an open, honest conversation with a former friend who I thought was just a nominal Muslim, before she saw my post saying that Islam is evil and decided I was a hater. I could have put across my arguments in a friendly, jocular manner to someone I had been friends with for over 20 years. She might have told me I was a hater to my face, but I also missed the chance to sow seeds of doubt in her mind and save a friendship that was once important. Getting someone to admit in public they are not really a Muslim is a very important first step. Then, as Shazia said, they need to realise that it is actually possible to help them leave Islam, and a bellicose, beer-drinking, football-loving Christian atheist like me is probably not the best person to do that. There are obviously lots of ex-Muslims on social media who also write blogs or make YouTube videos. You could also point them in the direction of the Council of Ex-Muslims of Britain or similar organisations in your own country. Ex-Muslims of Britain have got a website at www.x.muslim.org.uk and a forum where ex-Muslims share their experiences at www.councilofexmuslims.com. Meanwhile, the rest of us have to keep arguing against Islamic doctrine and informing about the abusive behaviours of many of the Muslims living in our countries. This runs from terrorist activities to grooming gangs, from FGM to forced marriages, from covert imposition of halal slaughter to mistreatment of dogs, from hate speech in mosques to infiltration of political institutions by Islamic politicians, and a whole series of other things. It is also important that there is a plurality of voices speaking out. We have different styles and different approaches, and we're often speaking to different constituencies, but we're all on the same side. The stronger our arguments, the more difficult it will be for politicians, the media, and the left not to admit the hypocrisy of defending an ideology that is patently incompatible with our values and whose practices lead to social tension and abuse of established law. I personally don't think Islam can be reformed, so we'd better damn well start diffusing it now. Anyway, that's what I have to say on Defusing Islam, the moderate Muslim fallacy and how to argue against it. I hope you enjoyed this new approach, and I'll be back very soon talking about something interesting, so have a really great day. Look after yourselves.